doing that thing, they're lost forever. So it's bigger than just something that we want to do or we called to do. It's bigger because we know and we've been set aside and someone did it for us. 2 Timothy 4 says, fulfill your ministry, fulfill it. There are so many people counting on you. Are you sitting and wondering what that assignment is that God has for you? You know that it's so much greater than just a task. Do you realize that when God blesses you with an assignment and he sets you aside for something really, really special, there are so many lives, there's so many blessings that will come because of you fulfilling your assignment. I was running on a beach the other day, and one of the things that I saw was this turtle. I saw a sea turtle. I saw these sea turtles that were just hatched, and it stopped me in my tracks. Actually, people stopped me because I'm kind of fascinated with sea turtles, but they stopped me because they didn't want me to trample over the sea turtles. The sea turtles, when they stopped me, I was just in amazement. And the reason why I was in amazement is because the sea turtles remind me of us and as people. Because a sea turtle, do you know that every sea turtle that's even born is a miracle? Why? Because only 1 out of 1,000 sea turtles make it to adulthood. So every sea turtle that gets hatched was hatched from a mother who was a miracle. It was 1 out of 1,000, 1 out of 1,000. And the mothers are the only ones who can hatch. So I don't know the statistics if how many of them are male and female, but let's say it's 50-50. There are 1 out of 2,000, because it's actually half, right? So 1 out of 2,000 female turtles make it to adulthood so that they can hatch eggs. Now, for humans, it reminds me of us because sperm cell, there's 500 million to 1 billion sperm cells that are rushing up to go and fertilize that egg. And only one makes it. So for every baby that's born, you're 1 out of 1 billion. So if you're listening to this, you're a miracle. You're the first race you ever made. You were 1 out of 1 billion. You were the one that made it. And I'll tell you that there's never going to be another race, another challenge that you have in life. I don't care if it's you trying to become a millionaire in 1 year. Your chances of doing that will still never be as low as the chance that you had out of 1 in 1 billion to make it to fertilize that egg. So you already won the greatest race of your life, which means everything else is minor compared to that. Why do you think you were the one that were selected? Why do I think I was the one that was selected to win that race? God has an assignment for you. You have a purpose. He blessed us all with gifts that are so special. In that blessing, there are people that he is going to use you to reach, to help them in their assignment. God blessed you with a gift. He's allowed you to go through, he's allowed us to go through things so that we become wiser. And people who are watching you, who are listening to you, they're learning something. They're learning it in a way that only you can teach it. Only you can reach that person in that special way that's going to encourage them, help them, and allow them to see what I can't show them. Because God didn't give me that assignment for that person that needs you. The way God's going to use you, they're going to be able to hear it in a much different way than they can hear it from me. Do we know that in that assignment, there's such a greater blessing. Like there's like, one of the things that I teach in both my Airbnb and my Wealth BNB and my Wealth BNB Plus, where with Airbnb, we learn how to $1 million portfolios without owning property. Like we grow those portfolios in 3-6 months without owning property. So we lease them. And then in Wealth BNB Plus is where we grow and build $1 million academy, helping people all over the world. And the one thing that I teach in there is it's called the win-win principle. And the win-win principles is that anytime we're doing something, it's always got to be win-win. It means that we're not going in ever just thinking about us, ever. If that's what you're doing, first of all, I'll never be able to work with you because that's just not God's principle. That's not who I am. I don't want to be around people that are that self-absorbed, that selfish, where it's just about them. But we also not just allowing people to take advantage of us either. So win-win is everyone has to win. And when everyone wins, it's a beautiful thing. So when I think about how that relates in your assignment, your win, you may not even recognize what your win is. You may just have a desire to share something and help others. When you do that, you bless someone. The reason why we've structured it this way is because like there are not-for-profits. You could do like we do, like this stuff that I'm doing right now. This is free. It's free. But then like I got people pay me over $5,000 an hour to coach and mentor them. They pay me $50,000 for one program, $100,000 for another program, $250,000 for another program. Why? Because we're changing their lives, their families' lives, generational wealth it's building for them. And what they're paying is only a fraction of what benefit that they're getting. So it's a great trade-off. It's win-win. What it does for me is it allows me the ability to continue to help people at the highest level. If I did that in a charity case, I couldn't do that. So there's a time and a place. There's a time like these YouTube videos is great. Like I could do that and do it in a way where it helps people and you could take this information, use it. Like you got a lot of free videos where you take the information, you use it, and you could get results without having to pay $5,000, $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. You don't have $250,000. You don't have to pay that. You could get good, great free information. But if it's going to take time away from the family, our ability to do the things that we want, now, like, that's where I charge, right? If you want it at a much higher level, that's where we charge. And it's a great trade-off. So why do I say that? I'm saying that because either way, whether I do it for free, my desire is what? To just help and be a blessing, to just help and be a blessing. And I may not know how I was a blessing. I just showed up with the gift that God's blessed me with, the heart to want to share. And then I do that. And then I just leave the rest up to Him. That's what you're doing, right? As in your assignment, win-win is just knowing in the gift, like be the best. Anytime you show up, just be the best that you can be to serve at your highest level. And then you don't have to worry you're going to benefit because you know it's going to, one, just make you better. If nothing else, that's your benefit. But you know, if you're showing up and your desire is just to help people, then when you show up, guess what? You're going to help people. You're helping people in business. It's the same thing. When you structure your business properly, you're going to know when you charge and when you don't. So I wanted to just share just how your assignment can be something this small, just this small. What does the Lord say? Just the faith of a mustard seed can move mountains. Your assignment may seem to you this small, and you may not see how that seed created so much fruit. And it may not have been fruit that you were able to eat from, but it's fruit that many, many, many others are eating from when you're not watching and when you're gone tomorrow. And that's how we're blessed. Because guess who sees it? We don't need to see it If you just show up in your assignment, he sees it. And when he sees it, guess what? He got so much more for you. Those of us who can be trusted with little will be blessed with much. So in your assignment, I encourage you, fulfill your ministry. In your assignment, I encourage you, don't think of it as just tiny. In your assignment, recognize that God set you aside, that you're set aside and only you can reach the people that he has for you to reach in a way that they need to be reached so that they can be able to go out, make a difference in the world and in the lives of others who God's calling them to reach. The Israelites, they had just had these battles with all these different kings, King of Og, King Shihan, but they weren't trying to battle. They were just traveling through the wilderness, moving toward the destination that God had for them, and that he had promised them, the promised land. So as they were moving, they had to cross through these different territories, these different lands, and these kings, before they crossed through, they didn't just cross through people's land without asking them if it was okay. They had gotten to this place. It's called, we will go by the King's Highway until we pass through your territory. So the Amorites, so Shihan was the king of the Amorites. So they were going through that territory, and they were like, we're not going to drink your water. We're not going to eat your stuff. If we do, we'll pay you for it. And we just passed through. And they were like, no. And so he's like, in fact, since you're even in the area, we're going to come out and take you out. And they sent their soldiers out to go kill them. And the Israelites ended up killing them and taking over their land. So you didn't let us pass through. Now and you came against us, and we were just trying to be nice, and we weren't even going to bother you or anything. And we were going to even find a way around it because you said no, but now you came out to try and kill us. Now we killed you, and now we own all your land. Like it happened with King Shihan, and then it happened, with the Amorites, with Og of Bashan. And then the Lord gave them that land too. So he gave them all this land. And then Moab, it happened there. And they took over all this land. And then what happened was they got into this land, and the people, they didn't kill off all the people, but they started being influenced by the people instead of them being the influencer. Kind of like the conversation me and my son and Lisa we were having yesterday about fools and stupidity and ignorance. And they were God's holy people set aside for a purpose, like set aside for a purpose, a holy purpose, the Israelites. And God gave them promises, like big promises for how he's going to use them and how he's going to bless them, and in the land, all the peace and the riches and the glory and this, like that they're going to get and they're going to have, how they're his special people set aside for such a special purpose. But yet, once they began receiving some of those things, they allowed themselves to either one, get comfortable, two, be persuaded when they were supposed to be the persuaders, and get off track from what God's purpose was for them, for what their assignment was. And they started marrying into these cultures that were honoring and worshiping other gods. And it was an abomination, to the point where it didn't take a long time. It started happening real fast. And we have a tendency to do the same thing, where we have some success with something, and God's promised us, he's given us a vision, he's shown us our assignment, and then we start having some success with it, and then we forget, or we get soft, or we get weak, or we get influenced or persuaded, into something that takes us away from what God has for us, because we kind of felt like we made it and we ain't even close. He's got so much more for us. And it was sad because he was angered by what he called harlotry. He was angered by them. Harlotry is prostitution. Like, they're prostituting themselves they lowered themselves to be and do things that were unbecoming the greatness that he had for them. It just makes me think about how when we as leaders in our assignment, like when God gives us an assignment, we allow ourselves to get off course. I really had to pray and ask forgiveness today in that, because last night when we turned in, my wife and I, we were just chilling last night, and then we watched this show. I can't remember the comedian's name. Isn't it Dunham or something? Dunham. It was showing him going all over the world. He'd done a show in Iceland. He had done a show in Ireland. He did a show in the UK. He did a show in, I think it was Australia. He did a show in Abu Dhabi. And then he did a show in Israel. And in all of those shows that he did, except for Israel, his mouth was so foul. But in Israel, he didn't curse one time. When he went to Israel and he did his show, he didn't curse one time. And this morning I had to ask forgiveness after I read that, because it's the same thing. I don't curse. I try not to. Like, if it comes out, it comes out. It slips somehow. And I could probably count the number of times something like that happens to me in a year on one or two fingers, if that. However, like he tells us not. Like we've been talking about this all week about how, to guard our hearts, breastplate of righteousness, to guard our minds, helmet of salvation. How watch what goes in. It's our eyes, it's our ears, it's our heart, is the wellspring of life. It's not what goes in, it's what comes out, but we got to protect what goes in. And here I am, I watched this show for 45 minutes, I think it was, and I was actually laughing and enjoying it. Doesn't make me someone who is, like I should be struck down and killed right now, but the fact that, like, that's how it starts to happen. We allow ourselves to be just like I was being influenced that little bit. He set me aside as being holy and set apart for a purpose, a greater purpose. But yet something that simple could be the thing. You lost him. You lost your way. Now, why are you 50 pounds overweight? Why aren't you getting up in the morning? Why is your fellowship with the Lord way off? And then before you know it, it's a big old mess. Why are your finances down? Why are you not helping people the way he's blessed you to be able to do? That's how it starts, just little things like that, and we forget. I just want to encourage all of us that we all have an assignment, and he set us all aside for something greater than the world would want us to believe. When I think about all those people in the audiences and how much they were laughing, and it's too bad, because he could be really funny without cursing and all that stuff. He could be because he was still funny in Israel. The Arabs, who, like, it surprised me, like his mouth was very, very, very foul, and they were having a great time. And I thought about Israel. That was the last show that they showed him, like them. Out of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, you have one small group of people who has a different set of expectations. It reminded me of us, like you, me. There's a different set of expectations. And everybody else, as we were talking about yesterday, ignorant and the foolish. The fool is the man who says in his heart, there is no God. That's what Psalm says. The stupid is the one who cannot receive correction. Do not cast your pearls to swine, to dogs or to swine because they will trample them and then they will turn to kill you. And it also says if you correct a foolish man, he will hate you. If you correct a wise man, he will love you. And so those of us who are set aside for a purpose, who know that we have an assignment, those of us who know that our assignment is so much greater than so many people are dependent upon us fulfilling that purpose and that assignment. We're going to take it serious. We're going to be different from the fool. We're going to be different from stupid. We're going to be different from those, the ignorant, those who just don't know. And there's a certain expectation as well, but there's such a greater blessing like Abraham had. Why? Because those 24,000 people who died, to me, it was a representation of my family and the families of people who God assigned me to touch. Your families and the families of people who God assigned you to influence, because they're sitting in ignorance and just don't know. They're in that ocean of people that are fools who don't care, that are stupid and don't have no desire to be corrected. And they're the ones that are in there just being influenced because they're ignorant and they don't know. Without us in our assignment doing that thing, they're lost forever. So it's bigger than just something that we want to do or we called to do. It's bigger because we know and we've been set aside and someone did it for us. 2 Timothy 4 says, fulfill your ministry, fulfill it. There are so many people counting on you, people that you just don't even know yet, people you don't know. Just fulfill your ministry. So I encourage you, fulfill your assignment. Take your mark on the world and on society the way you're called to. Use the gifts that you've been blessed with. And don't think of any of it as just being little. It's so much greater than you would ever know. Hopefully that was helpful. If it was helpful, it was a blessing, share it with someone. Share the video with 10 people. Let them be blessed as well. And when you comment below, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to send you something that will take what I've given you. If you were blessed by this, take that to a whole nother level for you as well. So God bless you, and I'll see you on the next video.